This is from A to Vegan. I'm Lydia.
And I'm Chris, and today we're here at DC Vegfest.
We're here with Elissa Lane, Assistant Campaign Manager for Humane Society International's Farm Animal Protection Latin America Division.
Thanks for coming here today.
Thank you for having me.
So, we were talking before about you being involved in intense confinement issues. Can you tell everybody what that entails?
Well, Humane Society International, as with our national group, the Humane Society of the United States, we focus on intensive confinement issues. So particularly with breeding sows, which are female pigs that breed for the pork industry. And we focus on intensive confinement issues with breeding sows in gestation crates. So they're individual stalls, a little bigger than the size of their body, where they can't turn around. They're confined for the majority of their life in these gestation crates. They can't exercise, they can't socialize, they can't move around, they can't turn around. And we're also working on battery cage issues as the Humane Society of the United States, working on the intensive confinement of laying hens in small battery cages. I don't know if you've seen a battery cage. They're about this big, around 6 to 8 laying hens in one cage. They're confined for about a year and a half. They don't see sunlight. They don't have enough room to move around, barely move around, to extend their wings, to lay their eggs in nests. And we're working on, the focus of our work is on these two intensive confinement issues, battery cages and gestation crates, and really working to promote a more humane and sustainable agriculture to move from this intensive confinement practice to free range or cage free. The focus of our work is to promote, we work with supermarkets, we work with restaurants, we work with governments on legislation to promote a shift to this more humane agriculture. So a shift from the intensive confinement, where these pigs and these birds cannot move around for the majority of their life, to more humane practices where they can at least in the case of laying hens, lay their eggs in nests or flap their wings. In the cases of breeding sows, where they can at least socialize, being a group setting, more natural settings for them.
So, Elissa, I lived in Brazil for 12 years, and I know they're one of the largest producers in the world for chicken and pork, and obviously they are the largest for bovine meat. Now, what are some of the challenges and what are some of the breakthroughs that you've actually come by in Brazil?
Well, in Brazil, we see as the middle class is growing, as the economy is growing, we see also, unfortunately, an increase in the consumption of animal products, whether that be eggs, pork, chicken. And we also see industrialized animal agriculture spreading more and more to Brazil. And now you have, for example, about 90% of egg-laying hens in Brazil are confined in battery cages. You have about 1.5 million breeding sows confined in gestation crates. So you have the majority of production now in Brazil is industrialized. It's becoming more and more industrialized. And so really in Brazil, we're working to raise awareness about factory farming, not only on animal welfare, as I've discussed the impacts of this intensive confinement on the welfare of animals, but also the growing demand for beef, for example, and to export beef has impacted deforestation in Brazil. In fact, now the majority of deforested land in the Brazilian Amazon is used for cattle grazing. And you have deforestation as one of the largest contributors to carbon dioxide emissions in Brazil. So you really have this connection between the growing demand for beef, the growing production of beef in Brazil, which is staying in the country and being exported as well, and that demand leading to more and more deforestation, more and more environmental issues. So we really are working to raise awareness not only about the confinement issues and the impact on animal welfare, but the impact of this industrialized agriculture on the environment, other social impacts, and public health impacts as well.
Have you made any important breakthroughs? Anything exciting going on?
It's exciting in Brazil because it's surprising how much awareness already exists. I don't know if you found the same thing when you were living in Brazil, but there are a good number of animal protection organizations we're working to raise more awareness about the intensive confinement issue. There are a good amount of organizations that focus on domestic animals, companion animals, and we've really done a lot of work trying to build capacity with different organizations, whether they be companion animal organizations, other animal protection organizations, or environmental groups, social groups, human rights groups, public health groups. We have conducted workshops. We've done a few now, every few months, every 4 or 6 months, that brings together these different groups to raise awareness, to build capacity. So how we can all work to kind of improve animal agriculture in Brazil, the industrialized animal agriculture model, how to make them more sustainable and humane in Brazil.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful news.
And we've been working with restaurants and supermarkets in Brazil, and we've had in the past year or so a handful of restaurants change their procurement policies from caged eggs, conventional eggs, to the more humane cage-free eggs. So we continue to work with restaurants and supermarkets on legislation to continue to raise that awareness and promote the shift to higher welfare products in Brazil.
Well, that's great. If anybody wants to get involved and help out, volunteer, where would you suggest they go?
I would suggest visiting hsi.org/Brazil, Brazil. If you're living in Brazil, our Portuguese site is hsi.org/BRASIL, Portuguese. And we have contact information on our website, and we have all of our news and updates.
That's great. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you so much, Elissa.